Good morning and welcome to In Search of Prosperity Sisterhood. It's a Monday morning, and I chose Monday mornings because I think sometimes over the weekend, we fail to reset. And I thought, hey, Mondays around lunchtime gets you through the chaos at the beginning of the week, and maybe you can start your week fresh joining us here live. So, welcome, ladies. I'm so excited to have you here today. And today I wanted to talk about November. I saw a lot of things trending on this at the beginning of November, the whole no, which I'm a big fan of. If you are new here, I'm a big fan of the word no, and on so many different levels. And I'm going to share some of them with you today. But it really got me thinking. First, it made me reminisce about my uncle, Pat, who maybe I'll send him this video, but he always participated in No Shave November. And he's a very hairy man. So it always became a thing in our family. Like we watched his beard grow and like all the things. And one year, I don't think it was just 1 month, but one year he decided to grow his hair out and he donated it to Locks of Love. And he has this really dark black hair, and it was awesome. It was awesome to watch all that. And honestly, I don't know if he's done that a second time or not. In my head, I'm like, maybe he's done that more than once. But when all this started to trend, I really started to think about this November. And what if we made it less of a trend and more of a policy, more of something that we set our boundaries on, and something that we put our flag in the ground, we stick our foot in that door, um, making it more than just a month, more than just a trend. I think we do ourselves a disservice when we just share things and we're like, oh, that's a good idea. And then we just go about our life. So, this idea of November can really take our businesses and our lives in the direction we want it to. Because when we're saying no to something, we're saying yes to something else. And what we say yes to better be really damn good compared to what we said no to, right? Like what is it, or why did we say no to something when we could have said yes? But in turn, we said no, and it turned into a yes somewhere else in our life. Okay. Saying no to that invitation on a Saturday because Saturday morning cartoons are more important to you and your family in this stage of life. There's nothing wrong with saying yes to Saturday morning cartoons because you said no to something else. Right. So I just want to kind of, I don't know, give you that to roll around. Yes, you're saying no to things, and that's cool and high five and all those things. But what are you saying yes to? Just want to throw that out, put that under your pillow, make you think about what is it I've said yes to by saying no, right? Because the empowerment of the word no is really cool, and it can be trendy, and it's like the tagline no is a complete sentence and all those things. But what are you saying yes to? That is what should be thrilling. That is what should be getting you out of bed in the morning. What are you saying yes to? And then when you're focused on yes, you're focused on the positive side of things, right? Like you're focused on the abundance versus lack. And now sometimes what you're presented with that you say no to could have some positive things attached to it. Like they could be really good. They're just not good right now for you. And I think there's a piece in there that you have to be okay with. You have to be okay with saying no. And that kind of goes into what I wanted to train on today was being okay with saying no, because we beat ourselves up. We try and justify those things when really you need to go back and focus on why you're saying yes or where you're saying yes. And it can be as simple, and I'm kind of cheeky, so sometimes I bring in random quotes from songs or movies or whatever. So in thinking about all this, I thought about Meatloaf and Let Me Sleep on It. And really like um what they're just that idea of like pausing, taking a step back and putting it under your pillow, or asking for some more time to think about the answer you want to bring, right? And so when you sleep on it, when you take that step back, you're allowing for the dust to settle. You're allowing for that, I don't know, that whole process to not be so snap finger, not be so knee jerk, which sometimes we talked about this last week when you're listening to your heart. Sometimes that knee jerk is what you just have to shut up and do, even though it's uncomfortable or what have you. So once we're right with our heart and we know what it's trying to tell us and the direction we want to go with it, then when we're presented with these questions that you have the opportunity to say no to, you know that it's going to sit right with your heart and things like that. Okay. Making a little bit of sense. Uh, so there are some ways to say and exercise the word no, but not triggering the negativity that we want to put in our head of like, you had plenty of time for that, or why didn't you did it last year, or um I like, what would your mother say, or like sometimes we have that little, I call it like this pocket-sized narcissist of like just trying to eat at you of like why you said yes or no to something. And really it can just, you can calm it down internally, but then externally by saying things like, not at this time. It's not as sharp, right? If you're worried about hurting the other person's feelings or your own feelings by saying no to something or someone, not at this time is softer. And then I'm a Dave Ramsey girl. I do my budget um, most months. Not perfect, but one thing that I'm not sure where I heard this in the Dave Ramsey realm, but setting it in, or maybe I didn't hear it from them, but setting it in your mind and your heart verbally, saying that it's currently not in the budget. Not, I can't afford this, but it's currently not in the budget. And then you can set the stage. You can say, can you call me back next week, next year, next whatever, right? The next event you have coming up, whatever those things are. But really in your heart, you're just like, no, this just doesn't work. But you don't want to hurt that person's feelings and just tell it how it is. Sometimes we have to sugarcoat things, um, which I'm a big proponent of not, but also like, these aren't sugarcoating. These are just saying, or these examples are just saying, not at this time. It's not in the budget. You're putting your foot down and giving a slight explanation that allows you to sleep at night. Fair enough? Another, I'm just kind of reading off these different examples and then having fun with them. So another way to say no or to allow you to sleep on it, like Meatloaf says, you need to catch your breath. You need to maybe not act in the moment, not act from that knee jerk response, like we talked about earlier. And instead of shutting someone down when you genuinely maybe want to hear more or just aren't in the right headspace to receive what they're asking, right? You can simply say, "Hey, I need to check my calendar and my priorities. Can you get back to me on Tuesday?" That was nice. And it tells them where your eyes are, where your focus is. And then we're going to get into some fun ones. Okay, you guys? These are my fun ones. When you're saying no to a potential client because you aren't everybody's cup of tea, and nor is everyone your cup of tea. Okay. So, how do you say no to a potential client, to a potential paycheck, and still be able to sleep at night? And you can do this a few different ways. Um, and we can get creative. You guys can pop in and ask questions here in just a couple minutes. Um, but when you're saying no to a potential client, whether it's a particular inquiry, you can just say no. We don't offer that. That's not part of the deal, right? That is something that we can negotiate when your contract is up in 60 days. Would you like to sit down and renegotiate now? Let's say they're just not the right fit, and we've both taken this too far, and you need to get out before they take you down with them, kind of thing, right? Like sometimes it can get that deep and that weird, right? So one one suggestion is saying, actually, this other person that does things similar to what I do, whether it's bookkeeping or health coaching or what have you, um, they actually might be a better fit for you because they've had this experience or because they carry this different line or whatever, right? You're still saying yes, but you're sending them down the road because they're just not the right fit. They said something to you that doesn't sit right. And instead of, I'm kind of not a confrontational person. And so sometimes I don't want to explain it. I don't want to get into it. Um, it can just be somebody else's problem. Like, and you know what? The person you refer them to may not have a problem with the way they say things or the way they do things or the whatevers, right? But because you want them to get the results, right? You want them to get what you have to offer, but you are not the person to offer it, no matter what price they're willing to pay, send them to somebody else. Referring out is sometimes a way to say no without saying no. It's you know what? I really think you'd be better off over here. Just based on some of the things you've said or the questions you've had or the direction you want to take this. I can only take you so far, or that's not the direction I go. Whatever that might be. You're still saying no, but you're sending them down the road. You're sending them to hopefully someone that can help them because in your heart you do want to help them. But are you the right person? Are you going to sell your soul in order to do it? That has to be a no. Another is not referring them and telling them the same thing. Hey, based on everything we've talked about so far, I don't know if I can help you. And you can send them on their way. That's okay. They're shopping, right? They're out there, they've raised their hand, they've said yes to something. They're gonna keep going. They'll be fine. I'm here to tell you, they will be fine. So then here's the fun part. Here's the creative part of saying no without even having to say it. And it's just simply by setting boundaries and policies. We touched on that just a minute ago, right? And if it doesn't sit well with you, it's not what you're looking for in your business. And when you say no to things, the yeses come. Okay. The good things fill those spots in your calendar you're looking to fill. Okay. Not the negative, not the, oh man, I wish I never took that client. Not those things. You've said no to those things. So now you've left room for the good things, the yeses. Okay. So when you're setting policies and boundaries, it's your business. Okay. So you have the autonomy to make up policies as you go. You totally can do that. Okay. Because sometimes people will throw you a curveball you never would have expected or had a policy in place for. Right? Like we can all laugh about that, right? It's like, I just asked you to take your shoes off, like, not the rest of it, whatever that is. Okay. You can, sometimes you just have to make policies up as you go because you never know what kind of unicorn or curveball you're going to be thrown. So, having a little bit of a script in place for those situations, right? Like I just shared, based on your inquiry and your requests, I really don't see this as being a fit, right? Um, so I'd say let's go into our discussion sharing some policies and boundaries that we have in place that are allowing us to say no in our business without even having to use the word. Because we really, I mean, with all these tools I just shared with you, like you don't have to say the word no, but sometimes then it's fun when you can just be like, nope, sorry. Like when you gain that confidence through your policies, through your boundaries, through your conversations, where sometimes you can just stop and cut things off and say, nope, sorry guys, that's not the way I roll. Like, how cool is that? Then you can point at, hey, I had this happen. I had this situation. This is my policy. This is whatever. But it's really cool when you have that and you have that confidence in place where you can then say, nope, that's not how I do it. That's not me. That's not my business. That's not um in search of prosperity sisterhood. That's not the place, right? Because you've slowly and softly said these things in conversation. So when those things come up and you're like, no, someone else can be like, yeah, no, Shayna doesn't do that. Right? Like they get other people around you, your clients, your potential clients, the clients you've said no to, they can back you up when you actually have to stand up and say no. But all these softer ways are just that they can just be placed in your business as you see fit and not just this month, right? Not as a trend, but as a vote of confidence for who you are in your business. And your policies and your boundaries just back you up. And then when you have to say no, when you have to just get down to no, that it makes me giggle because it's fun. It can be fun. But if we go straight to no, then it gets in our head and it gets wrapped around and all the things, right? Thanks for coming in, Brenda. When we have that ability to say no and not have to beat ourselves up for it, that's the stuff. Okay. So I want to go into our group discussion. And I just want to hear some of your guys' policies that you have in place. Things that you've had to say, maybe, or things you're needing to say and not knowing how. We want to talk about that. We want to help you maybe dissect some of that or back you up, right? Like I was saying, when we get together as this sisterhood, we want to be able to back each other up and say, no, you got that right, girl. You got this, right? Or, hey, what if you change these two words? Then you might not have that same response, right? That is what this group is about. So we're going to break into our group discussion. And I just want to hear what you guys have, and ladies have in progress for your policies and your boundaries. And in celebration of the month of no, have you said no to anything this particular month? And what it did for you in all that is. So I'm gonna stop the recording and we're gonna get into the fun stuff.
Hey Shayna, this is Phyllis, and I have
Yeah.